As you can probably tell from my accent and from my grammar mistakes, I'm not a native English speaker. I became fluent in English by watching YouTube videos and practicing by myself. And I always get comments like, I can understand you, but I cannot talk like you. So today, I'm gonna explain you why you can understand English, but cannot talk fluently or cannot express yourself very well. And I'm gonna also explain how you can fix that. So let's get started. Hi guys, it's me Ruri. For those who are new here, I can speak 4 languages: Japanese, Turkish, English, and German. And unlike the comments section, I'm not saying this to brag or flex about my language skills or something like that. I'm not a language genius. When I was learning German, I was crying every single day. Like, how can I be a language genius? I'm just telling this to show that I literally went from the same path that you guys are currently following, and I want to share my experiences. And like, literally there are people who can speak more than 20 languages. Like, why am I gonna flex with like 4 languages? If I would flex, I would like flex around like 10 plus languages. So anyways, we all learn English in school, but even though if you can understand English, most of us cannot really talk fluently. Even in public schools, most of the people from like different countries get English education for years and years. But we can't talk fluently. Don't you think there is like a huge problem? At the beginning of my English journey, I was able to understand English when the conversation is very simple, but I wasn't really able to express myself and, you know, talk fluently. The first problem that we have in our English or language education system is that the education itself is input-based. So there's so many researches proving that input-based learning is not really effective. We should focus more on output-based learning. But before talking about those and discussing about those, let's firstly learn about what input learning is. So when we compare the input-based learning and output-based learning, we can compare 2 different types of learning styles. Input-based learning styles can be listening and reading, and output-based learning will be talking and writing. In most of the language schools, learning is input-based. We always do like readings and like listenings, but we don't do enough of talking and writing, in my opinion. In one of my all-time favorite books from a Japanese writer slash psychiatrist, Kawasaba Shion, the book called Input Daizen, Output Daizen. So basically Input Encyclopedia and Output Encyclopedia. He has like 2 different books. I would highly recommend them, but they're in Japanese anyways. He says that the golden ratio for input and output is 3 to 7. But most of us do the opposite. So we do like 7 input and 3 output. But we should do 3 input and 7 output. Because no matter how much you do the input, the important thing is output. If you don't output the things that you learned, you actually don't learn them. There's so many researches proving that, and I'll probably put like a link in the down description below. If you guys have ever watched my videos, you probably heard me talking about active recall, which is the most effective way to learn something, for example, is an output-based learning method. So in active recall, you basically ask yourself some questions and you answer those. So you're actively trying to find the answer. So it's basically an output-based learning style. So now let's talk about how you can do more output-based learning than input-based learning. The thing that I was doing when I was learning English by myself is that I quickly realized that I was doing too much input-based learning. If you don't know, I learned English by watching multiple hours of YouTube videos in English. Quickly, I realized that I was doing too much input because all the time I was listening YouTubers talking, but I wasn't really practicing by myself, and I had no one to practice with me. So the thing that I did is that after watching every single video, I was summarizing them in my own words, and I was explaining it to an imaginary friend. I know it sounds creepy, I know that, but it worked for me, but there are better options, I promise. The reason this method worked is that you're actively trying to express it in your own words, and also you're checking if you understood that video. Even if you didn't understand the video, you can still use the vocabularies that you learned from that video in order to explain that video. That really helps by memorizing new words and using them in sentences, and also it really makes you productive at the same time as well. But the problem with this method is that because you're talking to your imaginary friend like I did in the past, there is no one to correct your grammar and vocabulary mistakes and, like, you know, pronunciation mistakes. So for example, for me, when it comes to my English, I still do grammar mistakes and I still do pronunciation mistakes. If you watch my previous videos, you probably noticed that I always pronounce the word pronunciation as pronunciation, and also the word foreigner as foreigner, and you know, these like little mistakes, but I was doing them pretty often and I realized them in comment section. You actually really need a feedback to learn something, because I think it's kind of impossible to pronounce every single word correctly from self-study. It's hard. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's like very, very hard. So always having someone to give feedback is probably the fastest way to learn any language. And the best feedback that you can get is from native speakers. But where can you find native speakers? And the answer is Busu. Busu is an online language learning platform, and there you can talk to native speakers and you can get feedback immediately. The important thing is, I get a lot of comments like, I learn English by watching your videos. Don't learn English by watching my videos, because I'm still learning English and I'm making grammar mistakes, vocabulary mistakes, and a bunch of mistakes. And if you learn English from me, you'll probably make the exactly same mistakes like I do. Therefore, you need to talk to native speakers. And in Busu, you can find real native speakers and they will correct your grammar, your vocabulary, your pronunciation, and they will provide you a feedback to improve your language skills. And also another feature that Busu has is that vocabulary and grammar review. I think it's really important to check your grammar and check your vocabularies, because more you do the mistakes, more you repeat the mistakes, more you're likely to repeat them in the future as well. And when it becomes a habit of yours, when it becomes like some sort of pronunciation is a habit of yours or accent of yours, it's really, really hard to change. Like, it took me months to change the pronunciation of, I'm still pronouncing it in a wrong way, like pronunciation. It's actually pronunciation, but I just learned it in like a wrong way and I cannot change it. So in order to change it, the important thing is learning it from the beginning in the correct way. Use Busu to check your grammar and vocabulary. I totally recommend it to you guys. The other great thing about Busu is that they will create you a personalized study plan. With the personalized study plan, you know exactly when to do what, and I think it really helps, because it's hard to be consistent when learning any sort of language or doing any sort of thing. All you need to do is to click Busu and do the exercise or any activity that they give you in that day. You can use Busu for free and you can buy the premium version for additional features. I will put some links down in the description below so that you can download Busu for your PC, for your phone, etc. And thank you, Busu, for sponsoring this video. So in Dr. Kabasawa's book, he recommends a very unique way to do an output. And it is opening an Instagram account just for your output. And basically, after you watch, read, or hear anything from your target language, you basically take a picture of it and you post it on Instagram and you write something about it. So you are doing output, and if you make them in an aesthetic way, you can probably make money as well. Of course, the main focus is not making money, but it can make money while you're outputting. So this channel, for example, is actually a great tool for me to do some outputs, because I'm actively trying to talk in English and I'm actively trying to express myself in English, and it really encourages me to learn English more and hear English more, because I read in English, I talk in English, I think in English. And if you watch my previous videos, you probably noticed that my English got much more better, in my opinion. and it's much easier for me to express myself in English. I used to like spend hours to film a video, and now I'm just like casually sitting here and talking to you guys. So I highly recommend opening maybe a YouTube channel, maybe an Instagram account. Opening a YouTube channel is pretty hard because it takes ages to edit, but if you open an Instagram account and just like randomly post, it doesn't take that much time, and I think it's just like a great experience to do. You can like see what you consumed through the time while like scrolling, and I think it's just like a great idea, so I recommend. So the second problem that we have is that the lack of courage. So if you're not fluent in English or in any sort of language, you're maybe scared about the possibility that others can make fun of you. And unlike other YouTube videos, I'm not gonna tell that nobody's gonna make fun of you, it's totally okay, everybody makes mistakes and those things, because the reality is, yes, people actually will make fun of you. For example, on this channel, people make fun of me as well. I get like every single day comments like, you pronounce this word blah blah wrong, you said this blah blah wrong, it's not like that, how can you say that, you're a polyglot, blah blah blah. And also people will like make fun of your accent, they will tell that it's so bad, they cannot listen it, it's so annoying and all that stuff. People will tell you actually. I'm sorry, but that's the reality. And most of the time, people that make fun of your accent can only talk like in one language and they're still making fun of other people. I just like don't get it. Like why? Why? Any language learner probably know that non-native speakers can make mistakes while talking their non-native language because it's not their native language. But monolingual people, I don't know why, will make fun of you. But the important thing is that what you think about yourself. If you love your accent and if you think that you can improve it, or if you accept it in that way, it's totally fine. Don't care about what others says. It's easier said than done, I know that. But by the time more you put effort into your language skills, you will be more confident and you'll start to not care about them, because at the end of the day they can like speak only one language or so, and why would you even care about them? Also, it's not your mother tongue. Of course you're gonna make mistakes, and that's totally okay. There is no need to be perfectionist at all. More you become a perfectionist, more it takes you to actually take the action and do something. We're not perfect, we will never be perfect, so never ever be a perfectionist. And the third factor is that the fun factor. If you're learning a language, if you are a perfectionist, and if you're trying to talk that language perfectly, you'll probably forget to have fun while learning that language. When I was learning English, I was pretty hyped up because I was trying to understand James Charles, and that was the only reason why I was learning English. And more I started to understand his very fast English, and I was really happy about it. And at that time I was obsessed with makeup tutorials and the whole beauty community, and by the time you start to understand more, you start to get more comfortable in that language, and it's like a really good experience. It just gives you a joy. Maybe you're doing it for like academical purpose and you're thinking that, oh, I don't need to have fun. But when we have fun, it's much easier for us to motivate ourselves and do something. So don't forget to have fun and enjoy the process, because once you become better and better, you will remember these days and laugh about them, as I do. As I said, when I was learning German, I literally was crying in our prep year in high school because it was so hard for me to learn German. But I really love German language, German culture, and it was just like a very, now when I look back in those days, they're just like a very good memory. So I would totally recommend you to not forget fun factor and have fun actually. So yeah, that was it for today's video. Thank you Busu for sponsoring this video. I'll put the links down in the description below so that you can check them out. You can try them for free, and if you want to upgrade it, you can use the premium version of it, but you can just continue with the free version. And don't forget to do your output, don't do too much input. All right, so yeah, thank you for watching. Bye guys.